We'll go ahead and start the Historic Preservation Commission meeting for Tuesday, January 10th. Have a call to order, please.
McGivern?
Yes, here.
Miranda?
Here.
Franken? Excused. Higgins?
Here.
Listagi, excused. Hestetti?
Here.
Powers was going to join virtually, so I'll keep an eye out and see if she...
Do we have a quorum?
We do have a quorum.
Perfect. All right. We have the minutes from our last meeting for October 11th, 2022. I need a motion to approve unless there's any questions.
I move to approve the minutes.
I'll second.
I got a motion and a second to approve the minutes from October 11th. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Communications, staff?
Yep, so just an update on the Dream Plus program. So this was a city financing tool that allocated up to $2 million for the Gaines Street corridor, extending from 5th Street all the way north to West Locust Street, and then 2 blocks on either side of that. So the application window was in the month of April. It allowed up to a maximum of $50,000 per property, and $40,000 of that could be used for exterior improvements, and then up to $10,000 would be for interior improvements, mostly for mechanical and utility equipment. So city staff has been allocating those funds, so we're going to start seeing a number of items before our commission this spring that are utilizing those Dream Plus program financing opportunities. And then aside from that, I'd like to welcome our newest commissioner, Michael Hestetti. So we're officially at a full 7-member commission now. So.
All right. Thank you, and welcome, Michael. There is no old business. That takes us to new business. Number A, case number COA 23-01, request for exterior alteration at 624 West 5th Street. The Charles and Amelia Root McElroy House is located within the Hamburg Local Landmark Historic District. The Tim is the petitioner. Staff?
Sure, so the photo shows the Charles and Amelia Rutch McElroy House, located in the Hamburg Historic District. It was built in 1874 by T.W. McClellan. He designed a number of homes on that block face. The architectural style is vernacular Greek revival, has a front gable roof with asphalt shingles. The building is a brick building that's been painted and sits on a stone foundation. According to the inventory sheet, there's one alteration to the building, and that was the addition of a 2-story bay window on the west side of the building. So the structure is located near the corner of Gaines Street and West 5th Street. The applicant's proposing to construct a porch addition to the rear of the building, outlined in red on the map. So it'll be on that northeast elevation. On the screen before you is the corner of the building where the porch will be built. There's currently a concrete slab out there and 2 doors that would access that area. The inventory sheet, I didn't see mention of a roof or a covered porch in this portion of the property. Doesn't mean that there wasn't one there at some point in time, though. On the screen are the plans prepared by the applicant. So the porch would be approximately 5 feet in width and about 14 feet in length and fill that corner of the building. Materials will be asphalt shingles to match the main structure. It will have copper flashing, gutters to match the existing gutters on the second floor. The applicant showing wood fascia boards and wood trim, as well as vertical wood siding that would be seen on that north rear elevation. And then wood columns covered with pre-finished metal, and then composite plank flooring for the baseboards. So this project's very similar to a previous project at 630 West 5th Street that was approved in April of last year. the applicants own both homes, so they're proposing a very similar porch that would be consistent with that one across, or just next door. The applicant would like to install porch brackets and has provided a few photos of historic homes that would replicate that look. It'd be similar to the brackets that were approved on the building next door. So these are a few photos provided by the applicant of what those porch brackets might look like. We don't have concrete details, but it would resemble something of that nature. So city staff is recommending to approve the certificate of appropriateness in accordance with the submitted material, subject just to one condition, and that being that the porch shall be attached to the structure using the least invasive means possible to best preserve the brick exterior. Staff reviewed the project for conformance with our historic preservation code, meets the following two standards: that new construction and additions shall not be discouraged when the improvements do not destroy the historic design, and is compatible with the size, massing, scale, and color of the property. And then finally, the proposed alteration in addition does not negatively impact the scale of the designated property.
Is the petitioner here and would like to address the commission?
Good afternoon. Yes, we qualified for the Dream Plus program on this house, and even though it's a rental, we were awarded a monetary value. If Matt would go back to the pictures there. You can see where you have a roof line on the main body of the house, and this is the kitchen door, so that would face the other way. And there's part of flashing there yet today, so even though there's not I guess a record of it ever being there, we feel that there was one, and so we would like to put that back, and are open to any suggestions that you folks may have.
You're good with the staff recommendation?
Oh, yeah.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much for your investment in Davenport. Anything else?
That would do it.
Thank you. Do I have a recommendation from the commission?
I'll motion to accept it.
A motion and a second to accept case number COA 23-01 with staff recommendations. Roll call, please.
Miranda,
Yes.
Higgins,
Yes.
Hestetti,
Yes.
McGivern,
Yes.
Franken.
Yes.
I'll look and see if Christina's joined us. Okay, I don't see her.
All right, that motion is approved and moves forward. Takes us to case number COA 23-02, installation of accessible playground equipment at Vanderveer Park at 22-3 West Central Park Avenue. Vanderveer Park, it's a locally listed historic landmark. City of Davenport is the petitioner. Staff?
All right, so Vanderveer Park was established in 1885. It's a 33-acre park in the middle of the city. Originally the site of the Scott County Fairgrounds. Its significance is that it's the city's most important example of landscape planning. The Park District is proposing to install new playground equipment. The existing playground is located between the parking lot and the lagoon. Gabe's Play Village was built, I believe, in 2020, and it's a fully accessible for all abilities playground. So the Park District, as part of that project, would be adding a new ADA accessible swing. It's a metal swing, approximately 9 feet 7 inches in height. It'll be placed on a poured-in-place rubber playground surface, which is consistent with the balance of the playground. And then they'll install a new perimeter with the concrete curb. So it'll be located just to the east of the existing playground. No trees will be cut down for this installation, so it won't impact any of the existing landscaping. So with that, staff is recommending approval of the certificate of appropriateness for the installation of the playground equipment at Vanderveer Park. It complies with our historic preservation ordinance that the new addition does not destroy the historic character of the park.
Is there any, we have a member of Public Work, or Parks here. Is there anyone from the commission that has any questions? Okay. So, I need a recommendation.
I'll move that the recommendations of staff be accepted as written.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve. Roll call, please.
Higgins,
Yes.
Hassetti,
Yes.
McGivern,
Yes.
Franken,
Yes.
Miranda.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. And I understand case number C 0A23-03 has been requested to be tabled.
The next item.
Next one, okay. This will then take us to case number CO A23-03, request for the exterior alteration at 521 West 6th Street. The Dr. Gustav Hofner House and Office is located within the Hamburg Local Landmark Historic District. Hello Holdings LLC is a petitioner. Staff?
Yep, so the Dr. Gustav Hofner House and Office was built in 1874. It's listed as a contributing structure in the Hamburg Historic District. It's located in the middle of the block on West 6th Street, between Western and Scott Street. There was a bit of an elevation change, so it's a one-story structure along 6th, and then the topography drops down as you get back to the alley and then the Scott County parking lot. Currently, it's in use for 4 apartment units, and it appears to have been a rental for the past approximately 100 years. So most of its history has been rental. The property owner received DREAM program funding for this project. I want to point out there's been 3 additions to the home throughout the years, which have diminished some of that original historic character of the residence. So as a result, this home has a mishmash of window styles, siding types, and building materials. And this kind of lack of architectural continuity is most apparent on the south elevation. So highlighted on the left, the original structure in the middle in yellow, and then to both sides on the east and west are the additions that have been added throughout the years. So the proposed project scope, the applicant intends to install a new pre-hung insulated metal door with all needed modifications. That would be on the rear elevation for one of the units. Then to construct an exterior wall with the appropriate bracing and coverings. They would install vinyl siding as necessary. So this wall is located under the south deck, so the rear of the building again, in the non-original portion. They would replace rotted and deteriorated soffit and fascia to allow for aluminum wrap installation. They would cover the soffit and fascia with aluminum using V-groove soffit. 5, to wrap the window and door casings with aluminum, caulk the joints. And then 6, to cover each front porch canopy with aluminum wrap or install siding for front facade of canopy. So for the door and wall reconstructions, so this is the south elevation, so it's in the back of the building. It's the basement, so the walkout basement portion. So it's located under the rear porch. It's not originally part of the building, so it's, I have that blue arrow that kind of points to it. The wall's only about 4 feet in width, and then there's a door in the middle. You can see that door in the photo on the right. And then you'd have the proposed replacement door just next to it. So the door is not original as well. So in terms of siding materials on the building, it's kind of a mishmash. So there is some wood, Most of the building's been covered in asbestos siding, and then there are portions with vinyl siding as well. So the applicant is proposing to replace the deteriorated wood siding around the basement door with vinyl siding. So that wall surface is roughly 4 feet or so. So staff have looked at it. So a wood or an engineered wood siding might be more appropriate, just given the scope of the project and limited area. However, that would introduce a fourth covering on the building. Then likewise with the soffit and fascia, a little bit of a mixture between wood, soffit, and fascia on the middle portion, that original area of the building, and then the remainder being an aluminum material. While the installation of aluminum soffit and fascia will bring uniformity to the structure, again, staff believe maybe a wood or an engineered wood product might be more appropriate for the character of the district. So staff is recommending approval of the structural elements identified in the Certificate of Appropriateness application. However, staff is recommending the commission provide direction to the applicant on acceptable and consistent building materials. So the items to review in our ordinance are as follows. The first one just being that reasonable effort shall be made to make the minimum number of changes to keep the property in a good state of repair. And then the second one pertaining to deteriorated architectural features be repaired rather than replaced. And then if replaced, be consistent with the design of the building.
Is the applicant here? And
Yes.
would you like to address the commission? If so, you can come to the podium.
I don't really
It's
have
not
any
necessary,
questions.
it's not necessary if you don't need to, but if you'd like.
Yeah, I don't really have any questions. Matt, it's set up pretty well,
Perfect.
but thank you.
All right. Is there any questions from the commission?
I guess I have a question. So there's all sorts of things going on. Is there any, do you know if there are any plans to do anything else to it to,
Yeah, eventually want to unify the look of the building and bring it up to
okay,
something that
that was my
looks-
question, I guess.
It's just bit by bit as we're working on it. We've come before the commission before to get the porch on the east end of the
Chair.
building done in the front.
Yep. Why don't you
Chair,
come
can
to
you-
the front?
Yeah.
Yep,
Thank you.
I'm sorry.
Originally, I think it was maybe 2 years ago. Maybe 3 years ago, we came before the commission. And that porch that was on, if you want to go to a previous slide for it, the east side of the building there, that was not existent at all, but we were having issues with water coming down the valley on the roof and just destroying below it, much like on the back end here. Since then, we've had the roof replaced, put in some diverters to arrest that from happening again. When we get that wall rebuilt with the metal door that's pre-hung, there's going to be a line of block, I believe, beneath the structure to keep it up in case in the future water building in for that issue. But in the future, see how the front of the fascia kind of changed, the facade, and you have more of this angle there. Eventually, that porch on the other side is going to have to be replaced as well. So, in anticipation of that, that porch on the east side, we stuck with the circular pier, kept everything kind of looking similar to that side, and eventually, when that's redone, we'll try and make that look the exact same. So you
Eyebrow.
get symmetry. We've talked about doing floating gable ends and changing the color of the building eventually to give it a little more contrast and some curb appeal, but ultimately have it wrapped essentially in one siding material. And, have some detail and look nice from the street and also from 4th Street in the back. So it's just a lot of work over time. It's been hacked together. We call it the house that Shins built. So we're slowly putting it back as we can. And yes, there is an idea for a design to look like neighborhood appropriate.
Thank you very much. Was there any other questions from the commission?
I had a question about the window. This is a detail I know because there's a lot of things, as someone else said, going on.
Right.
But you describe it as the window would be residential in character. I'm not sure what you meant by that.
Diane, that would be the replacement door.
Oh, the top
So
of the door, the archway.
Yeah, the door on the right's what's there currently. So the reason why I followed up with the applicant asking if it'd be residential in character is because you could get a metal door that's just more commercial or industrial in nature. They've selected a design that has the indents and a window.
Okay, thank you. Second thing is a larger thing because I'm concerned about how many times I'm reading vinyl. And
There was a fire previously in the property before we'd
Yes.
actually bought it. And
Yes.
apparently at that point, it had been approved to get it repaired and get vinyl on the outside.
Thank you.
But we are looking at options as far as when we do resite everything. So like he was talking about engineered wood products, that's something we're considering to try and make it
Okay.
look cohesive over time
Thank you.
as, you know, time allows for the work.
Okay, I'm going to sleep better tonight.
Awesome. I'm glad to hear that, Diane. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions from the commission? I need a recommendation.
I recommend that the project be approved with the recommendations that have already been outlined by the staff.
So approving the
Recommendations.
materials as well?
Yes.
Okay.
So that would be the engineered wood is, or wood product is,
Yeah.
are you, can we get a clarification on the material? Are you looking, because they proposed vinyl, are you okay with that, or did you?
I'm not okay with
Okay,
that.
so it
Yes, I
sounded
would
like wood or engineered wood?
Wood or wood, I'm not even sure what wood clad means.
So, engineered wood is a wood-like product that has wood pulp in it. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
But it basically is a kind of like a resin material that it's made to look like wood, but it has more of a lifespan similar to like a hardy board or a vinyl siding.
Doesn't your staff recommendation of number 2 cover that?
So those are just the code ordinances for your review.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought those were that was written into the staff recommendation.
So staff review of the project, we feel comfortable with the wall reconstruction, the door installation, new soffit and fascia.
Right.
We were hoping that the commission could just provide clarification because you do have a compromised historic structure. Identifying, is the commission okay with aluminum soffit and fascia on the full length of the building, as well as the limited vinyl? And then if you'd like, you could provide direction when this building gets completely re-sided one day. We'd like to see as not necessarily a recommendation on this item, but just give them direction moving forward because we do have multiple different materials. Does that make sense?
Well, it does. I'm sorry, I misunderstood. So why don't you withdraw your motion real quick? And
Okay.
we'll take a step back real
I'll
quick.
withdraw that motion.
We'll clean this up a little bit. I'm sorry, that's my fault. So let's go back to what direction you're looking for the staff, or from the commission, on kind of either the blended materials or rapid, right?
So this commission can, as an option, approve the project as presented, which includes aluminum soffit, fascia, around the entirety of the building. So that would include the original structure, which is wood currently, so to give it one uniform look. That also includes the wall that they're rebuilding. It's the rear elevation located underneath the porch. And that vinyl siding, so it's only a 4-foot wall and it has the door right in the middle. So you're probably only looking at a narrow span of vinyl siding on each side.
Right.
So that's the project as presented, as submitted by the applicant.
So what we're looking for, and part of your motion would be what building materials the commission is approving.
So as I referred to blended, which is to bring it all, to wrap up that small area for the time being, that's what I refer to as blended, is as presented. With
For
staff
the siding
recommendation. Yes.
specifically.
Okay.
If we want something other than the blended look, then we're gonna have to make that recommendation.
Yes.
All right, I got Is everyone caught up? Michael, we'll get you there. I promise, okay? Go ahead,
Well,
Karen.
the reason I ask about, if you're going to do things in the future, if you were going to continue. So it seems like if you want to bring it back to more the character of the house or that neighborhood, that, if you're going to start with that and work, start with the wood siding where you can and, get away from the vinyl and
Right,
all
but it's
that.
something that like when a whole project is done, you can decide,
Right, so that
this
what
is more
you
about getting it weather ready and, useful. Just because it's a strip basically this wide by this wide.
Yeah.
On the face, on either side of the door.
But you're still talking about vinyl and aluminum
Well, I think the city
Uh-huh.
recommended aluminum wrap on
on the
the
side.
older wood, like windowsills and such, that would look
Okay.
like white wood.
Mhm.
That's good, the city brought up. But ideally, eventually, is try and get it all look the same on the outside.
Okay.
Sorry, I should have
As
had
far
you
as
come.
when exactly that happens, we're working towards it.
Okay, I should have had you come up. It's my fault. I'm sorry. Did that answer your question?
But if there's something like engineered wood, that
Could
would
you
look-
please come up to the podium so
Yeah.
it gets picked up?
Thanks, Laura.
I mean, we were open to
Wait,
recommendations.
why don't you get up here? Only
The city
one
is
task we're
providing-
supposed to do.
It might just be we're not as familiar with materials. Vinyl's kind of common.
Right.
Something that looks like wood, engineered wood. If it's going to be something that can be consistent, we can put it in now, and say a couple years from now, find a product that looks just like that. That's a good option. But we're open to suggestions. Is what we're asking for.
And you're just.
Yeah, be ready for something that could easily be integrated with. That would be ideal. But if this is like a newer product that's coming out this year, will it be trendy in 2 years, or will it look enough like something from, the late 1800s to be available still in a couple years? So it's kind of a balancing act of that and trying to pull it all together in the end.
And it's something that the commission is going to have to balance too, with a lot of these projects coming up in the spring. So this is just an introduction to what we're going to have to be dealing with. And a lot of these modified properties that, are never going to be what they were before and what leeway we're going to give. And so this is
Right.
beyond your deal. I'm sorry.
We're not even
But,
sure
yeah,
what years they
right.
did the different additions.
Absolutely.
We just know there's wide variances throughout the house.
So
There's
siding and
being
these
slapped
windows on these modified properties are going to give this commission a little bit of a challenge.
Yeah.
But we're going to have to prepare for that, and that's another issue. So, any other questions for this gentleman?
Not a question, but I think I feel better knowing your direction. And I use that term. Your direction seems to be towards
I'm
wood
committed to living in
material.
the neighborhood. I work with Blaine, actually, on the board of the Gold Coast Neighbors Association.
Okay,
I try to be a good upstanding member of the community there in our neighborhood. So
Thank
our idea is eventually to make it an integrated neighborhood, make everything look not exactly similar, but to the period and nice.
and again, I think it should be said that these are not our personal feelings.
Oh, no,
In
I
some cases
understand
they
how it
are,
goes.
but
Yeah.
we have standards
Right.
that are set for the commission.
Right. And
So
always when you
that's-
come across a property that's been chock blocked together over 100 years,
Yes.
and you don't have photos to refer to, even the Sanborn map is iffy at best. You just kind of have to go from what your, guidelines are. So
Okay.
we get that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Ma'am, as with the staff recommendation, it'll allow that blended, as I refer to it, blended, brought over the entire way for that 4-foot section with a wrap. Is that correct? With the vinyl?
So staff didn't make a recommendation on the materials. We left that up to the commission to decide if they're amenable to the proposed materials or would like to see different materials. I do want to note, if in the future they were to reside the whole home, that would come before the board for review.
And what they're I want to make a note too, that the soffit and fascia is for the entire property, entire house, including removal of existing wood for the uniformity. So I want to make sure you're aware of that request.
Okay. I'll speak from my personal perspective. I think that we have to allow some leeway on these, especially these modified properties. Historic preservation has many aspects to it, especially for the individual properties, but the neighborhood, allowing a little bit of conformity and allow it to kind of be preserved in a fashion is it's not a loss. Material that probably is going to be taken, actual age would probably have to be sought new material of like substance anyway. So I think there's some accommodation that's appropriate. And that's just my personal opinion.
Could I ask, when we make an accommodation like that, are we setting a precedent for future or other projects?
Probably. And it's something that we'll talk about in this work session or in other ones coming, because as we're going to see, this commission has been kind of rekindled, but we're going to see some challenges come before us that are going to require us to sharpen our pencils and learn a little bit more too, and maybe modify some policy.
Could Matt or Laura, I forget who, mention what would come before us in the next round? Think we're.
For this property,
Yes.
my comment was more towards, so we have a mishmash of siding types on this home. If in the future they wanted to re-side the full home, that would come before the board for another certificate of appropriateness, where we could address the materials for the complete house.
Thank you.
So is the commission good with staff recommendations and the direction of the petitioner? And does staff have any other questions for us? Clarification?
I just, did you guys understand what I meant by engineered wood? I just want to make sure you understand what that product is. It's not new. It's been around for quite a while. They actually have a couple of properties in the Village of East Davenport that have it. And you probably wouldn't notice it just driving by that it is an engineered product. So keep that in mind too. So wood, engineered wood, the vinyl that they are proposing, aluminum clad. Those are your.
And I think this will be a good case for us to kind of watch too and see how it comes out. You know, we did that with the German American Center too, with the windows and trying something different. And the commission has had a history of experimenting a little bit, so.
Can I point out one small detail that really bothers me about some of the engineered wood? You will see people put in, and it's got grain in it. Well, you wouldn't see that on a finished house from that period. It would be painted, so you would not see the grain. So I think that's also very important. Just personal preference.
So motion approved from staff's perspective answers the questions that you have? I want to make
Yes.
sure. Okay, very good. So I do now need direction once staff has our understanding. So it would be a motion to approve
As presented,
as presented.
should you choose.
Well, this seems like it's kind of a step in the right direction to me. I'll make a motion to approve it. Yeah. It's like a bandage to me at this point.
I mean, that's a fair assessment.
Yeah.
I have a motion on the floor. I need a second, or it's going to die.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Roll call, please.
McGivern,
Yes.
Franken,
Yes.
Miranda,
Yes.
Higgins,
Yes.
Hostetti,
Yes.
motion passes.
Thank you. That takes us to item number D, case number C 0823-04. I understand this is the item that needs to be tabled.
Correct. So the property owner could not attend tonight's meeting, so they have requested that the item be tabled to the February 14th meeting.
Do I need a motion for that or?
Yes.
just-
I'll motion to table it.
I second.
I have a motion and a second to a table. All favor?
I'll do roll call.
Roll call, please.
Franken,
Aye.
Miranda,
Yes.
Higgins,
Yes.
Hostetti,
Yes.
McGivern.
Yes. That takes us to item number E, case number NRHP 23-01. Review and provide a recommendation for the internal harvester truck sales and service station at 601 West Second Street to be listed on the National Register of Historic Places. Staff?
All right, so the International Harvester Truck Sales and Service Station is located on the northeast corner of Western Avenue and Second Street. You can see the photo of the front facade facing Second Street. So this property is being petitioned to be a national landmark. It was placed in service in 1928 as a vehicular retail and service center. It's a one-story building with steel columns and brick wall supports and large storefront windows using Romanesque and Gothic revival ornaments. The building's roof employs innovative steel bowstring trusses to clear span a vast interior space for unimpeded vehicle operations. There is an addition to the building that was done in 1979 at the rear of the property. The nomination states that the historic integrity of the structure is minimal from that addition. So here's just a few photos of the interior of the building with some vehicles that have been operated on. Here's a few photos of the facade. So the role of the Preservation Commission. So as a certified local government, HPC is required to review and comment on proposed National Register nominations of the property within its jurisdiction. So the question for the commission to answer when reviewing the nomination is whether it meets the National Register of Historic Places criteria for significance and integrity. And those are based on historical events, important people, architecture, or archaeological. The nomination sheet mentions criteria A and C. So staff is recommending the International Harvester Truck Sales and Service Station be listed on the National Register of Historic Places. The commission shall authorize the chairperson to sign the CLG National Register Nomination and Evaluation Report Form. And the nomination meets consistency with criteria A, which is historical events, and criteria C, architecture. So the nomination, it's associated with events that have made significant contribution to the broad patterns of our history. And the service station embodies the distinctive characteristics of a type, period, and method of construction that represent the work of a master builder and represents a significant and distinguishable entity whose components may lack individual distinctions. So that's criteria C. And we do have a representative of the property owner on Zoom. So Bill, I don't know if you could hear me, if you want to add anything that I may have glossed over.
No, you encapsulated it wonderfully. And I'm both the owner and the developer. My family is the owner of the property and has been since 1982. So we're very proud to try to rehabilitate this building to the best of our ability, and think it'll be a great addition to the downtown and the greater Davenport area. We appreciate all your help.
Thank you, sir. Matt, is there anything else?
Nope. So the board would need to provide a recommendation, and then Bob will have you sign the authorization form.
Great. Is there any questions from the commission for staff? All right, well, then I will need a motion.
I'll make a motion that we approve. the certification of a national board as a national treasurer, national registry.
A second.
There's a motion on the table and a second. Matt, when was the last time, before we vote, when was the last time the city had a nomination?
The last one that I saw in our files, I believe, was 2020.
That was the KWQC building.
Okay, yep, very good. All right. Roll call, please.
Franken,
Yes.
Miranda,
Yes.
Powers, are you on the line by chance? Okay, I don't think she is. Higgins,
Yes.
Pastetti,
Yes.
and McGivern?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Motion passes. All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.
All right, that will take us to other business. Please note that the February 14th and the March 14th Historic Preservation Commission meetings will be held at the Davenport Police Department Community Room over at 416 North Harrison Street. Staff, is there any other business?
Nothing else, just that we'll have a work session, but we'll ask the commission just to stay in your seats at the dais for that.
Very good. At this point, we are open for public with comment to the commission. Seeing none, I need a recommendation for adjournment.
I'll motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
Motion and second to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
We're adjourned.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, we're going to do